What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Checkout. This is a podcast with the people that I would start a business with. If I could pick anybody to start a business, this would be my dream team, my dream squad. We're a host down today. That's going to kind of be the usual here for a little bit. We have one of our hosts who's going to be busy for the next little bit, but we'll be here more often as we get going. But we've got Zoe and Bart. Hope you guys are doing good. All right, here's what I wanted to kick it off with today. I saw this article in this video and I can pull it up. But it's basically like there's like this coffee shop, and I think it's in Australia, and it's a coffee shop. It's like a cafe, and inside the coffee shop, they have this like big sandbox, right? So, it's like a play place. Like think about like McDonald's has playgrounds and stuff like that. It's the same sort of idea, but it's like instead of McDonald's, it's a thing that the adult has to go. Like most adults like go get coffee a bunch of days. So they're like, okay, how do we make it so the kids bug them to come to this coffee shop instead of the other coffee shops or whatever, or, you know, drive through coffee stand or whatever. And so like, this is kind of like a business idea. And I thought it was pretty cool.
The sandbox is for the kids.
Sandbox is for the kids, but then there's a variation where there's one where it's remote control cars in there and like the adults can play with them. And so I have some ideas off of this, but I think the whole idea here is like differentiated in a crowded space, or I have like a whole bunch of like, I think you could make this an experiential thing if you're an e-com brand, or partner with a shop like this and make it like, oh, I'll partner with you. Like if you're a toy brand or something like that, or an RC car brand. I think there's partnership opportunities, but I wanted to hit you guys with this first. I'll try and find the video, but that's like the initial thing I wanted to throw at you guys and just get your thoughts about.
I want to tell you some things that we were learning about the Breeze website that was costing us a bunch of money that we actually didn't know until we installed a heat map. On our product page, we have bullet points that looked like buttons. We had elements that looked like buttons that you actually can't click. And we were finding out that we were literally losing money because the navigation was so unclear that to the thousands of dollars because of the amount of traffic we're spending, we weren't able to find success. And so heatmap.com was able to kind of highlight and tell us exactly where these users were clicking. And we made that immediate change. Then we saw on heatmap that like we had product tiles where people were navigating to kind of add to cart or learn more about the products. Too far down on the page, but majority of the revenue is starting and driven from those specific tiles. And by us just moving those up the page so it's less of a scroll on mobile, we're able to drive almost 2 times the revenue from the same exact amount of traffic. That again was only coming from heatmap. I think that's super powerful because it's able to track specific dollars per element on your website, and no other thing in the world can do this. Not that I know. And so this is why it's easy enough for me to use or our CRO to use. There's no negotiation. There's no back and forth. It's either making us money or it's losing us money. And it's the reason why I'm super thankful for the heat map team to be a part of this crew. And if you want to try it for 14 days, free of charge, worst case, doesn't work for you. Best case, you make a bunch of money, you save a bunch of money. It's a win all around. Hope you guys try it out.
Well, I mean, it's like the typical play area in McDonald's and Burger King. But yeah, do new places do that? I'm like trying to think of like anything between like McDonald's and this sandbox.
Chick-fil-A does it. Chick-fil-A has it. Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's like a playground, and they're so nasty. And the thing is, there's no way these sandboxes aren't pretty nasty.
I was just gonna say that it sounds like super unsanitary, but I don't know. But is it? I don't know.
Yeah, let me find the video. But I think I'm kind of into the RC car thing, but I'm kind of into it as like no kid, you go play in there, and then I get the remote control thing, and this is how we play. I don't want to go get into the sand with you, and I know if we go to this place, you're going to keep bugging me until I get in the sand with you, and I'm not going to be happy about that. But if I can play with you like while not getting into the sand, I think that is money. I think you get a bunch of kids in there playing, and then you get a bunch of dads and moms. But let's be honest, it's going to be mostly dads who want to play with remote control cars in the sand.
Do you like hate hanging out with your kids or something?
I hate playing with them because I have to get down on the ground. Like, like getting down on the ground, bending, going into sand. Like nobody likes doing that. That's everybody puts up with that because you're like, I'm playing with my kid. And you kind of like trick yourself into thinking you like it, but nobody likes like adult. You're an adult. You don't like getting sand in your shoes and underwear. All right, like nobody
Bart,
likes.
thoughts on sand? Playing with your
Confirm.
kids? Do you like your kids?
No, of course I love my kids, and I was just playing in a rocket ship right before this call.
And you're crunched
Uh,
up, right?
yeah, it was like one of those like quick tents you build with a tunnel to another rocket ship. But I can agree, it's uncomfortable physically to like, Dad, go in this tent. It's like, all right, here we go, and then they like jump on your back. It's not something you would do without children for sure.
No.
But I have like a personal experience with this type of venue somewhat. So I visited Dallas like 3 years ago with my wife. We're thinking about moving to Texas, and our buddy gave us like a full view of downtown Dallas and like Richardson and Plano. And we went to this one pizza spot, and it was like a pizza brewery that was split in half. So it was this big kind of like mini warehouse where you could grab pizza and food and beer, and then the other half was split to like this turfed off play area, and they might have had like little sandboxes. And I thought it was the coolest thing, and I was like, we need one of those back home where we live, because it was like, I don't know, I think millennial parents like to get out a little bit more than maybe our folks did. Like my parents still think going to a restaurant is pretty like crazy, it's like a big outing, but we like to find activities that we can both do. And so I thought, like, why don't we have any of that back home? And it was literally just parents are over there having a beer, they have an eye on their kid, or having some pizza. And then on the other side, these kids are just raging amongst these like gymnastics mats and turfed off areas and sandboxes and trucks and stuff. I was like, everybody's having a good time. Kids are going to get exhausted. You're going to go home feeling fulfilled because you did a big activity as a family. And then you come home and it's like, wow, we had so much fun. And it's just like, okay, one, we need it back home. And then two, why isn't there more of these things everywhere? I guess like technically getting liquor licenses and being able to serve and all that kind of stuff with kids in the building is probably going to be a lot of red tape, but most of the parents are just there to have like maybe a beer or not drink at all and just have some pizza while their kids play. Um, so yeah, I love this kind of stuff. Like we in our town, like my whole street, every single house has kids, and we need more places that are just like that so that we can just go out and relax while they play.
Like it's like low cost, like you have the option to get food or drinks or whatever. Like there's another
Yeah.
concept in here in Utah of it's kind of a generic indoor playground type of thing, right? Like there's other stuff like that, but there's a platform above, so like parents can go up and there's like like good food up there and like nice couches and fast Wi-Fi, and it's a platform so you can look down. I think you could even level that up one more by having like screens up there, right, as well, so that if your kid does go out of sight, you can kind of always see them and keep an eye on them. So yeah, I think like right, like I'm all in on the business. And like look, there's Dave and Buster's, there's Chuck E. Cheese's, there's this concept has been done, like food plus thing to do, and it's either like activity is awesome, food sucks, or like food is pretty good and there's an arcade game in the corner or something like that, right? But I think like kind of making both good is an opportunity. I think some other opportunities is like I think you can just be the person who like services these businesses. Like we just come in every day and clean, right? Like, or every morning or every night and clean, clean out the sandbox or whatever, right? Or you install them, right? Like you go, and I think I heard this idea somewhere else, but like you could just be the one who like goes and says like, hey, here's a concept, go to all the coffee shops that exist and be like, here's a concept, I can install it, right? So there's like picks and shovels businesses here, but I also think going into e-commerce and D2C, the world we're in a little bit more, I think there's also an opportunity to like partner, either like launch this, if you're a toy company or a coffee company or an RC car company, a remote control car company, something like that. I think there's an opportunity to either like launch this business as an experiential thing, like a self-funding marketing channel, or partner with one of these.
You know what is like kind of well, I have like two things, because one, I'm a dog mom, And so like I find myself going to places that are like dog friendly, and I'll buy whatever like $20 hamburger that is just literally hamburger meat to like feed my dog. So like I'm one of those people who just my dog has like severe separation anxiety. So anything that I can bring her with, I will, because I feel so bad like leaving her. And so yeah, we both have like I'm attached to her. So I think that there's like experiential or just like, yeah, I wonder sometimes some of these places that have like are dog friendly are like more popular or like more busy when like because people can bring their dogs. And then two, wait, is it supposed to be playing the?
No, I'm just showing you the video of like what the play.
This is the.
Yeah, this is the thing I was talking about. Like it looks classy. The sand looks clean.
Yeah.
So they clearly have to clean it a lot. Like
I have seen this.
Yeah. And then so here's the one where the dads are playing
cool.
with the remote control cars. So dads and kid, like that's all dads playing with that. So I'm like, no, put the kids in there. They get the physical play. Dads, dude, if you put a remote control car in a dad's hand, and like that one was all dads, put a remote control car in a dad's hand, have like 5 dads there, 6 dads there, right? Have their kids in there playing like physically with the cards. They won't touch their phone for hours and they'll make dude friends. Like if we build a castle together with like remote control dump trucks, like we do that 3 or 4 times, we come back regularly, like we'll get to be pretty good friends doing that.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like Bart and I would be like homies, like, yeah, no, this guy Bart, I don't really know anything about him, but we built a pretty sick tunnel the other day. Like
I would love to put a dad gang retail display in there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Yeah, like, there's another idea, like just partner with stuff like that. But yeah, no, I think it's like a pretty dope. And then yeah, I think my whole thing that what I'm saying is basically that like the bigger idea here is I think so I think there's a lot of like little ideas. You can be the person who can installs it, you could be the cleaner, like you could go start this business of being the person who cleans like kids trampoline parks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And like that's like a business you could start tomorrow. But I think like a really big idea here is let's call it integrated play, or like there's a very short window of time where like you as the parent are going to have like a really good time playing with your kids. For example, my daughter's 8 and she's playing soccer and basketball, and that's cool. But like if I play with her, it's like a 5 or 6 out of 10 fun for me. Like I've got to go pretty easy. Like she doesn't really have now, like once she's probably 15 or 16, it might be pretty fun, you know, because I'll be a little bit older, a little bit less capable. But like, you know, like for a lot of dads, it's like if they've got a son who's 12, 13, 14, and is a pretty good basketball player, that's going to be when it's like really fun to play with them. But, you know, if that kid's like a D1 recruit, by the time he's 16, dad's like, I'm hanging up the shoes, you know? But if you could have like a robot that plays basketball that's remote control, then you could set the settings. Like maybe you can set the settings to really hard. So then it's hard for you even when they're 8, right? So this is my big idea, is like into like play ideas where like the parent can like control some sort of robot thing and the kids can like play against it. And I'm not saying you can't play with your kids, by the way. Like I'm not saying like you can't do it like just with your body. That I think would be the big idea, right? Because then that could be a training tool for older kids in sports. That could be like a more fun way to interact with a younger kid who's not as coordinated yet, right? Like you could set the settings to super hard, so it's actually kind of hard for you to beat your 8-year-old in you know, one-on-one or something like that. I don't know, Bart, do you hate this idea?
No, I don't hate it after seeing that video, because I was thinking something a little bit different, but I've seen that little diggers thing before.
Yeah.
And no, I think that's great. I bought a remote control car the other day, and both my kids have no idea how to use it because they're 2 and 3. And I was just whipping it around the house and they were chasing it. It was the most fun thing ever. So and there are a ton of ways like people could get involved in this kind of thing if it were to like really expand, whether, you know, it's some kind of like sponsorship or product placement. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. A dad gang product placement in there. Like, I think maybe my overlying point, because I think a lot of our people who will listen to this are in e-commerce, in physical products. There's tons of stuff like this that you can do that could be chains, small chains, you know, a local spot that's really popular that is like guerrilla marketing. Like, how hard would it be for you to get a dad gang display in there? Probably not hard at all. Like, if you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I'll pay you $1,000 a month, they'd probably be like, done, right?
Right.
Or you might even just be able to do it for free, or have them sell it on consignment or whatever, right? Like, I think that there's a lot of ways to get distribution and marketing that are a little more guerrilla. And
Yeah.
then an even bigger step is like, how can you create your own? If you're an RC car company, this is a great way for you to like, oh, I'm going to actually make this business. It's going to be its own marketing. If we get 20 locations open in all the biggest cities in the US, like that'll be a decent marketing engine for us, and it should self-fund, right? So if we can run it profitably, should pay for itself. That's a little bit bigger swing, but I think for a bigger brand, it makes some sense, right?
I was actually thinking about this the other day, where I don't think there's a lot of brands that do the guerrilla marketing training well, because I was actually thinking, whenever I'm in my like retail brain, like for some reason always at the airport, you see like these little like one-off shops that have some of these like D2C brands that we know. And I was always something that, like when I worked at Chomps, I was always thinking like, should I ask, this little mom and pop store or this little retail here, like I feel like it would be such a great place for Chomps, but I like never knew how to go about that question, or like had like the courage to be like, who is your supplier, or like, would you guys want to sell Chomps? And I feel like especially as you grow, if you just like train all of your employees that work for you that like, hey, if because everyone's walking around all the time seeing stores all over the place, especially with remote work. If that's like part of everyone's training of like, hey, like everyone can be a salesperson and help us, and this is how you go about it, and these are the processes. Because I'm like, if I ask this person, do you want to sell Chomps, but I don't know like what the next step is, or if we even have inventory, or like, I'm just not going to do it. But if I was trained on it, I would have been asking all the time,
Yeah. And I think it's like if you can get your each employee to kind of like be bringing you a couple leads of like places you could distribute product, especially if it's like distribution plus marketing, right? Like, maybe we're not going to sell a bunch of product. Like, is it super worth it for us to go into this little retail shop? No, not if it's a huge hassle, but it's worth it for the employee to ask. One, because you're just like keeping yourself top of mind in your employees' minds, but like two, because if it's not a hassle, then it's probably just a good way to like get our product in front of more eyeballs, even if not a lot of people are buying it. Yeah, I like it. All right. Anything else on that, or you guys want to move on? Go ahead.
My next thing that I was just kind of off topic, but same type of thing. In customer experience and being like agency life for different companies, I always am looking for ways to, obviously, like, you want that those businesses to succeed, because the more customers that they have, like the more need that they need, or the more projects we could do for them, and the funner it gets, really. So I was thinking about like the same concept, even just like for my clients, because I'm like, same thing is like, I have like all these clients that I think would be so cool in all these different spots, but I'm like, I'm sure they'd like love any help that they can. And if I'm just like shopping around, and like, is it out of line for me to be like, hey, can I like help you sell in these retail stores? But like, I've just been thinking about it a lot, because we're really moving into the like customer experience as revenue drivers, and like helping with growth, even though it's like not typically our lane, but it helps. Like the more customers you have, the better, right? So it's just like an interesting concept in general.
I think there's a huge white space in direct to consumer e-commerce for someone who can help brands get distributed into retail. And I see why there is a white space, because then every single brand would want that. And the fact of the matter is that person or company wouldn't be able to help every single brand. And so it could become a pretty big grift pretty quickly, of like somebody just saying, yeah, you pay us 5K or 10K a month, and they really never get you into any retail. But there is a pretty big white space in e-commerce for somebody to do that. Like, there's just a lot of times there is a product that is good enough to get distribution. It's just like they don't even know how to go about it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know,
There's
Bart,
only
what's in your background? Like, have you thought about distribution into retail at all yet?
Yeah, is my mic
Yeah, your
working
mic's
well now?
a
Yeah.
lot better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I've worked at several businesses that did, purely start out D2C and then moved into retail successfully. With Dad Gang, we do it here and there. It's a little bit more of a focus this year than it has been before. But yeah, like even recently, we're like, go where the traditional route would be like, let's go Dick's Sporting Goods or Lids or some kind of store where people sell hats. But then there's also the thought of like going into one of these places or having a kiosk outside of Disneyland or having a kiosk outside of like massive state fairs and stuff like that where fathers and families already are and they're doing family things. Like we see the most social activity on the weekends when dads are doing a bunch of like family outings. And so I like the like approach here of, and it kind of goes into like another topic we had discussed of like innovation within marketing or within D2C and
Yeah.
not just replicating what everybody else is doing. Like, how do you find distribution that's not so traditional? Like go to the places that your customers may already exist, even if it's not, a retail store that we're all used to placing product in.
Okay, I know you're running a lot of product catalog ads and you're using Marpipe. What are some of the creative tests in your catalog ads that you've noticed that have worked well for Dad Gang?
Honestly, for for us, the thing that's performing really well right now is like a three grid breakout of the hat. So a lot of our original catalog ads would just have like the front of the hat showing and not the second image. So being able to showcase like the front, the side, the back of the hat in one ad. The other one, as simple as it sounds, is just like actually putting the price front and center,
Mm.
like a little red circle that actually shows the price, because our hats are great quality, but they're only $35 compared to a lot of like the similar quality of a hat out there is like $45 to $60. So I think being able to showcase an affordable price in one ad is helping too.
So, and like Marpipe specifically, they just bust out tons of variations of your catalogs and keep testing it.
Yeah, you just integrate directly into Slack with their team, let them know what you're kind of looking for. They bust out a bunch of variations. It connects directly into your Ads Manager account, and you don't even have to do that much within Ads Manager. It's a seamless integration into everything you're already doing.
If you're any kind of brand that wants to put your catalog ads on steroids and get more returns, better returns out of your catalog ads, check out marpipe.com. All right, back to the pod. Yeah. It makes me think of you guys are familiar with the brand Diff Eyewear?
Mm-mm.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
It's a sunglasses brand. They're pretty big, and they were kind of in the first like maybe the first kind of, or like 1B wave of like big direct to consumer brands. Like now I think it'd be pretty hard to launch a sunglass brand. Just that's a sunglass brand direct to consumer, but they were really one of the first to like do, like, I think they have a Kim Kardashian collab, not Kim Kardashian. I think they have like big people like that they've done product collabs with and stuff. Which is pretty hard to get now, but they sort of got in there earlier. If I remember right, I could be remembering this wrong, but if I remember right, a lot of their initial traction, aside from Meta ads, which worked pretty well, a lot of their initial traction came from like they would have booths at like Burning Man and like music festivals that are huge, right? But it's just like that's the exact kind of like, oh, if you're, I don't know, there's a lot of different kinds of people who go to Burning Man, but there's a bunch of people who are like $150 sunglass kind of people who go to Burning Man to like rough it, but like they don't really rough it. And then there's like actual like, people who are there that are probably
It's a rich rough.
Yeah, exactly. It's like whatever the music festival version of glamping is, that's Burning Man. And like, I wonder if any actual like more hardcore music festival people still go to Burning Man. Probably because it's so big. Yeah, probably because it's so big. The acts are really big. Like the
They
artists,
have
they
like
get a
the
little bit.
best DJ, yeah, music, but
Yeah, but like now it's like, yeah, if you're you're a, you know, Silicon Valley, you know, engineer who makes like 350K a year, like you go to Burning Man because like you want to do something cool. You
yeah.
want to just be a nerd. So yeah, they like got a lot of traction there because it's a crowd that actually has money, but like one needed sunglasses that they might have forgotten, which is kind of like the core, but a lot of it is just like, yeah, there's just a lot of people there. And anytime that there's a lot of people there and they've got money, they'll spend it if they see something they kind of like, you know what I mean? I bet there's studies on this, but I think like you're just out of the house around doing things. You're probably just more likely to part ways with money just for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It costs like $250 to go outside these days. So.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And you go anywhere and you're like, yeah, sure, we can buy that. Like,
I feel like now that I have like a little bit of money, I'm just like always looking like why can't I buy something here? Like, where is the something to buy?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I don't care what it is. Like, sell me something. I'll buy it.
You're just like, I'm easy. Just like, whatever, pitch me something.
Yeah, like, why isn't there always something? I just am like, it's just like a missed opportunity to like not be selling things everywhere.
Most people are like, yeah, there's too much commercial, everything. Yeah, like Bart said, most people like cost $250 to go outside these days. It's real, but like that's like a negative commentary on the world. Zoe's like, can we make it 500? Like 60? Like, why isn't there more stuff being sold to me? Honestly.
Yeah, I have seen this path of like going to places that aren't retail stores to sell your product turn into like major retail. So when I was with Strideline, they were popping up at lacrosse tournaments because part of your like the gear you can show off outside of your uniform in lacrosse matches or games matches, whatever they're called, are your socks. So they would sell these like socks with city skylines on them to the point where I think like a Nordstrom buyer or somebody from Nordstrom was at one of these, or somebody's family member got them at a tournament and they were like, hey, can we put these in our stores? And it turned into like a much bigger retail play from doing kind of that, like, I guess like roughing it or grassroots approach. But yeah, it can turn into those bigger retail plays just because you're out selling somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Vending machines, like these like new vending machines. I'm like, why aren't they everywhere? Like the like innovative ones that are like talking to you.
Can I get one at my house? Somebody comes by and puts different stuff there every week that I can just like buy.
Yeah. And like surprise me, like change it up. Yeah.
I think I don't think there's a huge demand for that, but that would be a very interesting business. Like we put vending machine at your house, it's free. And we just come through and we put like different stuff in there every week, and you know,
buy it if you want. Yeah.
And you buy it if you want.
You guys, like the free little libraries. The free little libraries like in front of people's houses. Have you seen those?
Say it again.
Oh yeah, like the
free little library.
Thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're like the posts, and you have books, and then people come and like, yeah. That, but vending machines.
So you have to leave something of your own.
You gotta leave something.
I didn't think about that part.
Leave an empty Cheetos bag, and you can get a new Cheetos bag.
No, like a little
good recycling program, I guess.
Leave your garbage. No, every house having like a little. It can't be free, but like a little vending machine to like just sell shit.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm on board with this idea now. And I'm on board with a credit system with a budget for kids, because my house is the freaking kid house. Like all the neighborhood is over here 3 times a week. It's probably because we have puppies right now. But like always, even when we don't have puppies, that's the case, which by the way, I should bring a puppy on here sometime. But like with that, that's like, I want a system where I'm like, oh no, okay. It's a credit system. Every parent just give me your Venmo or put your credit card on file. Tell me this kid's weekly budget, and we're just going to have a vending machine of stuff they can buy while they're here at our house. And then we're not going to feed them. They're going to have to buy their own food at our house. Maybe that's a step far, but
that's a struggle, right?
Feed them like we're like, no, like if we're going to make this snack, and we're not going to make 15 different things for the 7 different kids that are at our house, we're going to make this snack. And if you don't like that, vending machine's over there. right? And I'm thinking food still, but it
So
could
John
be toys
doesn't like
too.
to play with kids, and he wants to make money off them.
Look,
Is what I'm
I
getting
was
out of this
not a big
episode.
fan of kids at all before I had them, and now I would say I'm a big fan of kids if they're mine, and I'm still a pretty medium fan of other people's kids.
I just realized I was probably like the worst. I was like that kid. I never had snacks at home, so I literally would go to my friend's house to eat their snacks.
Yeah.
Like the parents were probably like, "Get this ravenous girl out of my house. She's eating all my food."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we had a house like that. It was in high school, but one of my friends had a house that was just like the best pantry on earth, and we would raid it.
In boyfriend groups, I think that's like that's the case for every like group of 4 or 5 friends in high school. It's like, yeah, like there's one house we hang out at a lot, and it's a strong correlation with whichever house is the best food. And and the most food. Also, volume is very important when you're a teenage boy. Who's got the most? Doesn't even have to be the best. If it's like B quality, but there's a lot of it, we're there. All right, cool. All right, Bart, you got another topic you want to hit?
Yeah, I liked how we, it matches to what we were talking about, but like, you were talking about is, is there any actual like true innovation happening within D2C marketing right now, or is everybody just copying each other and trying to just perfect marketing?
I just meant it within D2C in general. Like, is there any actual product innovation? And this is like one of those, I think like every now and then you get existential and you're like, is this just all bullshit? Like, am I bringing no value to the world? Like all I'm doing is helping people sell like more bullshit. That's really the same as the other bullshit, but they're trying to like, position it differently or something like that. And I'm like, oh, here's how you could do that. Which like on the one hand, I'm like, yep, that's a great way to make money. Like copy a business that already is doing well, position it a little bit differently. Great. That's like a great, like first business blueprint. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I guess it probably helps people sort of break out of, like income, like probably helps them break into like different income brackets and stuff like that. So I guess maybe there's some good happening there, but I think this is like just one of those moments of me being existential. And I just like put it into the doc. Like, yeah, are we all just is like from a product standpoint, this company that's like this apparel company or clothing company and this a clothing company Y, clothing company X, clothing company Z. It's like they're all really buying that they're all really buying from the same pool of stuff. You know what I mean? Or like this water bottle or this water bottle. It's like not really that different, the water bottles. You know what I mean? The only real innovation that I see happening is the kind of stuff you see at like CES. And that's a very like robot techie type stuff that's maybe not even always that mass market. You know what I mean?
I think, CES, you have to be inventing something new to get attention. And I saw this year they had a completely flat and completely wireless TV, which I thought was so cool. Because I have like a decent TV, but I hate the wires.
Wires are a bummer.
You know what I hate wires on? Security cameras and charging them.
And they come down. Yeah, they come down your wall.
Yeah, I have security cameras outside that I need to charge. And I'm like, I'm not gonna
like your Ring Cam?
Yeah, and I tried to get the like solar panel, and then like I guess my electricity am I doing this wrong?
Just to be clear, if your security camera has a wire, I don't understand why you would possibly need to charge it. I think it
doesn't. It doesn't. I couldn't get the wire version because I would need was like,
Yeah, I'm on board. I think it either has a wire or you need to charge it. If it's both, I think you're doing it wrong.
No. I need to get up and like charge them and remember to charge them. And like, it's such an annoyance. And I'm like, why? I don't want wires and I don't want to charge anything. So like, how do they do the TV?
How do we make it solar panel? Yeah. How do we make it solar powered?
But how does that TV work without wires?
That's the thing. How does it power itself? Do you know? Did you look into it that much, Bart?
What, the Ring Cam?
No,
the TV. Yeah. It was some kind of battery technology, like some battery that lasts up to like, I don't know, it was like 900 hours of watch time. And then you gotta like
weeks.
Yeah. And then you got to charge it, but the charging's super short. So it's convenient. And there was no like hanging it. So you don't need to put holes in your wall or anything. It was like this new like suction innovation that would suction to any wall.
It'd just be like,
It doesn't have to be like
you don't have to mount
glass or
it.
anything, which kind of tripped me out because I was, just with like kids running around. It's like suction cups aren't the most trustworthy thing, and I was just like, if one of those pops off.
Not having to mount it is cool. It would make it so you probably couldn't control the angle, which is maybe not the best. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
if you
right.
got it up high, you usually want it like tipped down a little bit.
Yeah.
By the way, fun subreddit if you ever want to like a rabbit hole. TVs that are mounted too high. I can't remember what the subreddit is called, but it's just a whole subreddit of pictures of TVs that are too high on the wall.
That's great.
I'll check that out later. But
like random, yeah. But to your point,
No.
I think innovation. This is what that triggered for me. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just one thing really quick before.
No, it's good.
I was actually pretty early. I was involved back when I was running professionally. Like I was a professional distance runner. There was this company called Jaybird, and they're still around. It's wireless headphones, but they were quick. They were early to the wireless headphones game. This was before AirPods. But like they could not get adoption for a couple reasons. One, it was still pretty cumbersome. Like the headphones were still wired together. Two, like earbud fit it's tricky to get, and they didn't nail it like AirPods did. But that's like a little bit more minor. But a big part of it is just like life to charging ratio, like you said. So like your AirPods, dude, like they go for quite a long time between charges, and they charge pretty quick. And the way that you store them is self-charging. So you have to plug that case in every now and then.
Yeah.
But like it charges the AirPod when the AirPod is in there. But like with these, you had to like put them in a case, like go find this big case, put them in this big case, charge them. And you're just like, I carry my AirPods in my pocket. You're never going to carry that around with you. You know what I mean? And so
my Oura Ring like stays charged forever. And I have an Apple Watch, but I don't wear it because I forget to charge it. And then like all my stats, I'd rather just have my Oura Ring, and I only need to charge it like once every like 4 or 5 days. And or I just like put it on the charger while I'm showering, and it's fully charged by the time, and like never have to think about charging it. Like I hate charging shit.
Yeah. So I think the bigger picture on innovation here is like, I think what happens isn't that the product gets innovated, it's that the picks and shovels businesses around the product get innovated. So battery technology improves, and whoever figures out how to leverage that improvement actually makes an innovative product. So in AirPods, Apple, right? And sometimes the company is the company that like Apple is also the company that probably like innovated battery technology, like did it better. But it's crazier because it is building better mousetraps. It's like battery technology didn't change. We're just like, battery technology has been around forever. We're just trying to figure out how to make it like last longer and charge faster, which is like, that's such a hard, like we're so far past the curve of diminishing returns on that. Like it's such a hard task. And I think that's why, especially in e-com brands, in our world of brands that kind of launched online natively, I think a lot of times it's just like, how can we like put a different wrapper on something that we kind of already know works? You know what I mean?
Electronics are hard.
Yeah.
Like,
you know which hard. One?
Yeah.
You know which one that really kind of grinds my gears is supplement gummies. Like I feel like
let's make everything that's ever been a supplement that trendy supplement, let's turn it into a gummy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like the guys from Create, they like dominated creatine gummies, right? And then like now I get on X or anywhere, it's like, no, our gummy's better. It's like, dude, no, it's just another gummy with creatine in it, but that's packaging and who you get it to and who influences it and how you get people there, like that
they
changes
did a good job targeting women too, though, because like traditionally I feel like women are like, oh, creatine, I'm gonna get too big, or like that's steroids, but like they don't understand. But then they see like someone that's just like has a nice physique and it's a woman and she's like eating these gummies, it's like less harsh like feeling. So that it's so true though. It's like it's all about who you're marketing to or your approach.
So I think changing delivery mechanism of something or changing the form function of something, in a sense, is a product innovation. So creatine has always been a powder or maybe a pill, and they're like, oh, let's make it a gummy. It's like it wasn't that big of a
had chews, but they weren't like as good. But they've had those for a long time.
Everybody talks about optimizing their ads, but they don't spend enough time talking about optimizing their overall website, which is something that I think more of us need to spend time doing, and more of us need to spend time thinking through. The reason why most people don't do it is because you actually can't track revenue per element on your site. Heatmap.com does that. And that's something exactly why I love them and why we use it, because it's easy enough for me to use and it's easy enough for us to like communicate what exactly the changes are doing for our people. I like heatmap.com because it specifically drives revenue for us per element that we have. And so there's no real back and forth discussion. It's either going to start to work or we're going to get rid of it because it's tied directly to revenue. Google Analytics, which we all terribly hate, only talks about what's happening on the overall website, not the actual elements within the website. At the end of the day, the only valuable data point that we can gather are the ones that drive revenue. And if you aren't able to track that or update that, you're really wasting your time, which is why we use Heatmap, because we're able to track that specific data and know what optimizations we need to do next. Head on over to heatmap.com, give it a 14-day free trial. Worst case, it's not for you. You don't want to use it. Best case, you find a bunch of money and you make a bunch of money.
Right. That's what I'm saying is I think Create just kind of like reached escape. Like, I bet there was another, like you said, somebody else had a gummy already. Create just figured out positioning. And I think that's my overlying point here, that I'm like, man, what kind of sucks is that we don't really innovate product and like make really cool shit that much. We just like figure out ways to like take something and be like, oh, I can position this to X for, I talked about like on a different episode, X for Y, like, oh,
Mhm.
do creatine for women, right? Like, or I can position it this way, or I can say this about it, or I can package it up this way, or distribution, right? Like, I'm just going to win on Amazon, or I'm going to win in the Google marketplace, or I have inroads to physical retail. So I'm going to go there, right? Like that's like, we just all try and outmarket each other or outmaneuver each other in different ways until it saturates like all distribution and all messaging. And then it's just like, but mine's better than that one. Then we just figure out ways to say mine's better than that one. I think that was like my overlying point there, is like this cathartic way of me being like, we never innovate. I wish we would innovate more, but also innovation's really hard at this point. Like at some point, somebody invented the wallet, and then I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Like we could sell a lot of those, like some point somebody invented the shirt and it was like, we should all wear those, like that's a pretty good idea. I think we're like really far past that point, and it's super hard to innovate at this point.
But Bart, when you were talking originally, did you say you wanted to touch on like marketing innovations too? Of like, are we doing the same shit for marketing it?
I think there's product innovation, which is obviously great if we can do it. But then there's also just like a lot of like echo chamber marketing tactics happening. But from what I see, I mean, spend way too much time on X, and like I love just like, I follow a good amount of pages that like give tips and stuff, but then you'll see I give them myself too, and then like I'll see the same ad that I made get created for another brand, and it's like, it's okay. I actually just put out what like works for us, but sometimes it's just like, hey, who's the guy that I love him? He does the ugly ads.
Oh yeah.
Very hot is his name.
Yeah, like
I have a really good example of this too, but go ahead.
But I tried his like ugly post-it note thing, right? When that was like a hot topic, and it worked for us, sure. But then you see a million brands doing post-it notes and like hoping it saves or like grows their business just from one tactic. And it spreads like wildfire. And then next thing you know, your feed's covered with post-it notes.
You know what? I actually I went through this like rabbit hole for like copying content, organic content, when like TikTok during COVID was big, because I like grew my TikTok from like 0 to 230K just because I was bored, and it was like when it was easy to do that. And one of the things was trends, but I remember always being like, I saw that, or I've seen it like I've seen 40 people do the same trend, but so like I'm not going to do it because it's overdone. But then I realized that like there's so many people who haven't seen that trend, and so then I would like still do the trends even though I would. And so the same thing with ads, like there's so many people out there with different, like we just see the same shit because we follow it all, but then like it's like, when is it overdone? It's hard to like tell. Like, when has the consumer seen it to make
There's
sense?
yeah, I think there's a few markers, right? Like like when formats especially, so ad formats or content formats are overdone or trends are overdone. You know, there's definitely there is a curve, like you said. Like if you've seen it 40 times and you do it, probably most likely it's still going to work a little bit better than some just whatever random 0 to 1 idea you come up with, you know what I mean? But it might not really hit like it did when you'd only seen it 20 times, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a curve on it, and the same is true with ads. Like you make a post-it note ad now, it's probably not going to hit like it did at first, but it's probably going to do better than like you know it's probably going to do better than a lot of the stuff you launch, plenty of the stuff that you launch. I think that when stuff really hits is when, so I think it's a matter of swings, right? Like how hard are you swinging? I think a lot of the time, you know, maybe 80% of the time you should be doing stuff. If you have a business or if you're a content creator or whatever, you should be doing stuff that's like, this is not a big swing, but it's kind of a high confidence swing, right? Like 80% of your swing should be like, yeah, I've seen other people do something like this. And so now I'm going to do it. And maybe it won't hit like it did for them, but you know, it's a pretty high confidence swing for me. But like your real bangers are going to be ones where you're like, nah, I'm swinging hard here. And it could be a big strike. It could be a big miss.
Yeah.
Or it could be a big hit. And that's like whoever did that post-it note idea first, you know, it was probably absolute banger for them because, you know, or whoever did that trend first, it was an absolute banger for them because it was like, yeah, it was a brand new idea for them. And they got in like literally before the wave even formed, and then they surfed the whole wave.
Yeah. I just have a little bit of empathy for like, if I tweet out something that's working for us, I like to follow it with like, might not work for you. So like,
mileage may vary. Yeah.
Don't take everything and be like, okay, work for them, work for me. I saw this, I think today, some coffee shop in New York is doing like a mini TV show.
La Kind Cafe.
Is it that what it is?
I think they're in LA, but La Kind. Is it drive by? No. Did you see this from Alex Garcia?
I have no clue where I saw it, but
okay. No, I know
it was
on
a screen for sure.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They like film like a customer interaction. I think they're getting actors, right? And they're just launching an episode a day on a customer interaction. It's like
every day.
So smart. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Customer centric content. That's like where I'm trying to like look at that stuff because those are your actual like consumers.
The concept there, Bart, is I know who that's like originated that idea. He calls it a social show. So think about Hot Ones. Hot Ones is like a social show. It's on YouTube, but
100%.
Like this show that is there just for entertainment value, but pretty naturally integrates the product, right? Like you don't have to really work to integrate the product, but has this sort of repeatable format and this kind of rotating cast of characters and stuff like that. It could be pretty expensive, but there's also ways that you could do it much cheaper as well. You know, Amalfi Jets is another one. I don't know if I've shown you guys that one. Amalfi Jets is another one. They do like private jet brokering. So you call them if you need to get a private jet charter and they set it all up for you. And they just like do customer calls on TikTok. And I think they reenact and make more extreme customer calls that they've had, but they talk with all rich people who like some of them are pretty entitled. So there's like drama, you know what I mean? Like they got like people who are like, you know, I don't know, my friend, like I got this like blue Ferrari and my friend got the same exact Ferrari in pink. And like, I'm so pissed at her. Like I cannot fly home with her. Can you just like get her on a different plane than me? You know?
Wow.
Yeah. There's levels of rich in this world. And they're on a different one than I am. But like, yeah, I think that's customer centric. I think they reenact them and they make them more extreme, but it looks like a customer call, right?
When you say TV, do you mean like a YouTube channel that they're calling TV or like on television?
They're doing this. Amalfi Jets is doing this on TikTok.
But what's the one, Bart? You said a TV show.
They're just doing it, I think, across Reels and TikTok.
Yeah, he said
that's their distribution.
He said the word show, and
and I just put TV in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a social show, and I think what the thing, maybe we saw the same thing, but it was like 0 to like hundreds of thousands of followers very quickly. And they've only posted like, I'm chopping this the wrong way, but it was like, they've only posted this like 20 times.
Yeah.
And they've grown so quickly because they're just making it a show.
That's what Veronica is cool, is a show.
I know. Some
It's a
good episodes dropped since we last talked.
Yeah. Then there's another one, Mohawk Chevrolet on TikTok. If you look them up, they basically like, it's kind of like The Office, but at a car dealership.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. Hold on. I've got this pulled up.
I don't know if this is innovative. Oh, is this the?
This is it.
Yeah,
this is the social show. So, I mean, this is the guy who like probably posted whatever you saw.
Alex posts such great content. He's a good.
Shout out Alex Garcia. Alex Garcia _ATX. I show a lot of his stuff to consulting clients. Pretty smart dude when it comes to organic social content for brands. But yeah, this one is pretty highly produced. This is high budget. You could only do this if you are willing to put resources into it. But there's another company, La Kind Cafe, which is a coffee shop in like LA, and they do a thing called like drive-by kindness, and they just get in a car and they yell nice things at people, like your shirt looks good or whatever. And that's the whole thing. It gets tons of views on TikTok. It's like your skin is glowing today. And they drive by and do that. Super lo-fi, low budget. But again, the idea here is that it's on its own entertainment, right? So like the coffee shop integrates pretty naturally. And I actually think that this one is just a show. I don't think this is associated with a coffee shop at all, if I remember.
Oh, is it not?
Right. Yeah. I think this one is just content. I think that probably what they could do is partner with a coffee shop, the way that Hot Ones partnered with Heatonist, the hot sauce brand.
Social show. That's such an interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've got another one too of like innovative things that you could do in marketing right now that are underutilized. So social show is one of them. I've got a couple more, but I'll show you guys another one. I think that when we think about like ad ideas that are really top of funnel, you know, like, and maybe this isn't the case for you, Bart, because I think that you can kind of just put your product out there and people see it and it's pretty top of funnel. But I think when we think about ad ideas that are really top of funnel, a lot of times we're thinking about videos, right? It's like a video that's going to explain the product. But I think that one thing that brands aren't doing very well is like really top of funnel image ads. They could work as, so here's a good frame for it. This actually could probably do pretty well as just like an organic social post, you know, and also it could be an ad. If you look at it through that frame, you know, for video or for images. So somebody, I don't know if you follow this person on Twitter, but somebody posted this, I think it was today, the Ad Professor, pretty good follow as well on Twitter. But these are just statics of like things that I think are like great top of funnel ads. So this one.
Oh, I've seen him. Yeah, he posts really good stuff too.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, like this one of them is for Scrabble, and it's just Scrabble tiles, and it says the only time you'll be delighted to get syphilis, right? Which is like a great funny ad, but it's an image ad, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's like you put that out as an ad, and like it would probably get great engagement. I don't know if it would drive tons of purchases, but from a pure attention arbitrage standpoint, your costs would be lower. You'd get a lot of engagement. People would tag people in it and would probably drive good direct response results. Here's another one. It says, this is Meatless Farm Pies is the brand. And it says, get a piece of your MF pie, which like your brain thinks it's like mother effer, but it's just like their brand name.
Meatless Farm.
Right. Yeah. I shoot people for a living is one of them. And it's like for photography, you know, so it's like,
do you guys, so this is interesting because it's like kind of, it's not meme content, but it's just static.
It's like
billboard-esque too.
What's that?
It's like billboard-esque, a lot of this stuff. I mean, one of them was a billboard, but
I think you could translate this to social ads pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is the trucks. That's pretty innovative, right? The what are they called? You put your billboards on the trucks and they drive around New York and LA.
Yeah, it's like I think Blip is the company that you buy it through or something like that.
Yeah, I think
through.
Yeah. in that's so interesting because they I can't remember how they track it, but they track like, I guess it's the same thing as like a billboard. You look at the growth from like that area that it's driving around, but I think they also try to send like pass out samples and stuff from if it makes sense for the brand. But that's like, I feel like different, but very risky because it's like it's a lot of work to go into making a billboard on a truck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that the reason I like this idea is that this is low lift. You just have to be a little creative to come up with like good sort of banger images, right? And it's going to be some combination
Yeah.
of text and image. So here's one. This is like a great example. Starbucks, and it says it's just whatever, however many words this is, 10 words or something that says, if your coffee isn't perfect, we'll make it over. If it's still not perfect, make sure you're in a Starbucks. That's not as good as the I shoot people for a living. Like I shoot people for a living is would be probably a banger ad for a photographer. Just on the like pure shock value of it, or the Scrabble one, that'd probably be a banger ad for Scrabble. But like this one is, there's some brand recognition. This could probably be controversial. Like a lot of people would probably comment and be like, Starbucks sucks, right? So I think it's just like takes a little creativity, but in terms of production, it's very low lift. Okay, Bart, one of the big things I'm seeing a lot in Facebook ad accounts these days is a lot of spend on product catalogs. And I'm really, really seeing this a ton in apparel and clothing. I'm curious how much of your budget is going toward catalog?
Yeah, we have really good product photography. So a majority of our spend recently has been going to catalog ads. 40, 50, and sometimes 60% is going
Mhm.
into catalog ads, DPAs. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of great results from it.
Yeah, even just going catalogs to cold audiences. One of the issues, though, of course, with catalogs is that you can't stand out creatively. Like you can't, it's just your product photos.
Yeah.
So like I think we've solved for that in an interesting way with Dad Gang, with our partner Marpipe. So can you just kind of break down what you're doing with Marpipe to try and get better results out of your catalog ads?
Marpipe was able to come in and kind of makes up our creative a lot. We kind of felt like we were cornered into this. You can only show white background images or whatever's on your Shopify site. And they were able to come in and bust out a bunch of variations of that catalog, adding copy or adding various backgrounds or even simple things like price. Before that, we were just kind of, held to white background. Here's the hat and here's the copy of the ad. Whereas now that creative can showcase a lot more about the brand to a cold or a remarketing audience.
Yeah, cool. So if you're a Facebook advertiser, marketer, founder, anything like that, you're most likely running product catalog ads in your Facebook ad account already. Check out Marpipe if you want to basically just put those product catalog ads on steroids.
We have one right now that's not as powerful as these, but like we have EJ, one of our co-founders, wearing like 6 hats on his head, just one guy, and
Uh-huh.
it says to the side of it, "Dads wear a lot of hats, Dad Gang."
That's
And
good.
that's like
Funny.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
thought of that? Was that someone on your team or is like,
just me.
wow,
Yeah.
see, I was gonna say like this takes
Does that one slap? Is that one of your best performing ads?
Oh yeah, I've had it on forever.
Yeah, exactly. I think
awesome.
this is so low lift and not very many brands do it. It's like, how can you just like integrate a little copy or a concept that just like can be captured visually and like spend instead of just like, let's crank out a bunch of images or crank out a bunch of videos. Why don't we spend like maybe half the time thinking about an idea and then execute on it? You know what I mean?
I don't think we do enough of that. Like
Yeah.
we're so go, go, go. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just, it's rare to like, I also think that brands or people who are working for brands feel like they're wasting their time from brainstorming.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
how do you track that time and like make sure that it's like worth it?
Do you know
Or
a
like,
yeah, go ahead.
do you know what?
You know, a framework that I've told a bunch of consulting clients that, I don't know. I think when they're a consulting client with me, they tend to buy into this kind of stuff a little bit more. A framework that I've told a lot of consulting clients is this. So, Mr. Beast, who's the biggest YouTuber on the planet, and love him or hate him, a lot of people kind of like don't like him or whatever, but he is the biggest YouTuber on the planet, no question. He has a position in his company called creative. The position is, that's the title. They're the highest paid people in his company, and their job is to come up with video ideas. And he pays them, and this is their job, is to come up with video ideas for the company that is like the best in the world at coming up with video ideas. And he might never even choose their idea. Like, he has a few of these people, and he might never, like, they might come up with 30 ideas, 50 ideas, 100 ideas, and none of them ever get chosen. Like, he over indexes really heavy from a resource standpoint. He over indexes very heavily into ideation. And in e-commerce and in advertising, I think we over index very heavily into output, right? Like, we under index into ideas, and we over index into like, let's just create a process that marches out a bunch of stuff. And I think to a degree, you do need some volume, because you can take so many shots on goal. You want some volume. But I think there's a balance to be had. I think once you're putting out, whatever, 30 ads a month or whatever the number is for you, 30 is probably not a bad idea to like, okay, can I put out 30 creative a month? Once I can do that, why don't I just like take more time and maybe take like 5 big swings, or like spend more time on ideas, or pay some, like, see if you can like here's the thing I say a lot, find a comedian on like Instagram or something like that that's got 30, 40,000 followers. They've got some proof of concept, probably a pretty funny comedian, but they're not big. Just be like, hey, can I pay you like $300 for an hour of your time to just come up with some ideas with me? And you'll probably get some banger ideas out of it, honestly.
Yeah. Or copywriters, I feel like, are undervalued, but it's really hard to, and I feel like I haven't come across like amazing copywriters.
Do you know?
But like, that's like underutilized as well. It's just like a straight up copywriter.
I don't know. There's a guy named Scott Galloway who is kind of, I don't know, pretty famous. And he says like, Don Draper's been drawn and quartered. Like that way, that style of doing copywriting is dead now. But I think that a little bit like, yeah, maybe, where we have a week to come up with like a concept for a tag or something like that. Yeah, that's probably a little bit dead. But most copywriters, we call them creative strategists now. Am
I missing that?
Yeah. Like, that's just like a new title for copywriter, honestly.
Oh.
But like, usually, so I have a good friend who used to co-host a podcast with me. You've met him, Zoe, and this is what he is. And like, main thing that he's usually measured on in agencies is just volume, right? Like, it's like, we gotta output, like, do this, like we're doing 5 scripts a day, for ads, for UGC ads. It's like, okay, if you're cranking out 5, 6, 10 scripts a day for UGC ads, it's all gonna be pretty generic, right? Like, you're gonna use AI to assist you a lot. It's all gonna be pretty generic. It's gonna be pretty copycat, but that's what the industry is sort of set up for. And I'm not actually saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's an opportunity for a brand like Dad Gang, or whoever, to just like stop for a second and be like, why don't we just like spend some time coming up with an idea, or bring someone else in to help us come up with it, or whatever,
So I've seen both sides of that on the brand side, and I was at agency for a couple of years too. And it was like, when you have a bunch of clients and they're depending on new creative, new testing, new everything all the time, we would even have moments where we're like, guys, we need to stop and think instead of like building processes and then pumping things out, because there was in that process between like onboarding a client and revamping their creative, there was no actual like sit back and think of like good angles or being like truly creative and thinking outside of the box. It was always just like, here are the deliverables. We know how to get a creative brief going. And there was never like, hey, be lazy for a little bit, in a sense.
Yeah,
and
go
like
for a
sit
walk.
back and think of ideas.
Yeah, like, go for a walk and just then like, kind of, I don't know, sit around. Like, that's when an idea will come. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's sad that we feel like it's like lazy or like not work, because it's so important.
Right.
Do you know,
it felt like that. It was like, hey, I'm just going to go like away and try to think of some stuff. And it's like, well, you're not at the keyboard. Right.
Yeah.
So it's
your little green dot on Slack is not green right now. That's gonna be a problem. Yeah. The way I got the idea for this podcast was like, it's like over the holidays when you're kind of like forced to hang out with your family a little bit. I mean, you get to hang out with your family a little bit.
John hates his kids.
I don't know, dude. Like kids are kind of, no, I'm just, never mind. I'm gonna self-edit that joke in case they see this one day. But like when you just have space and you kind of have nothing to do, and like and I think I'm kind of like being tongue in cheek about my kids. What it really is like kids of a certain age. My kids are young. My oldest is 8. The way that they play is like very it's very repetitive, you know, and it's very like they're gonna like if they make you laugh one time with something they said, they are gonna spam that joke for days, right? If they see like one movie that they like my kids have not stopped singing Wicked. Like they liked it so much that it's all like their room is going to be, we're redecorating their room to be Wicked. Like they're all in on it. They're just like, they really kind of like get in on one thing. And so like you kind of, even if you're hanging out with them, you have a lot of time to just think because you can sort of like let thoughts flow through. And I had like so many ideas over the break. And this was one of them, this podcast. They're like, oh, I have this general observation that these sort of like group 3 co-host, 4 co-host podcasts seem to be sort of the next wave of podcasting. And like, I just never had a chance to think about, like I've been podcasting for 3-4 years or whatever. I've never had a chance to think about that until then.
Yeah. You make kids sound like boring ad agencies. They just latch on to one thing and keep pumping it out.
No, the kids are more fun than ad agencies. And there's like a lot, you know what it is there's a lot of like really tough stuff. And then there's like moments that you're like, oh man, what a weird, kids are like VC investing. Like most of the time it's like a bunch of losses. And then there's like this 1000x win. That's so worth it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I describe kids.
So do you think that, cause there's like the whole topic now of the work life HR stuff. And like now everyone has unlimited vacation, but nobody takes vacation. Do you think that has hurt, or do you think we should like kind of like force people to take their vacation time so that they like can refresh?
Okay.
And then secretly be like, oh, but while they're on vacation, they're going to have so many good ideas for the business.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, if they're a certain kind of person, I think so. I work at a company now that has over 100 people, you know, and there are certain kinds of people who will go on vacation and they will have ideas about work. And there are certain kinds of people who they could care less.
Turn it off.
Yeah. They just like, that's not what they're thinking about. Or if they do have ideas for work, they're like, I don't even care enough to like follow up on this later. So I think that, you know, maybe that could help. I think that, you know what it is, there's usually really only one thing that consumes your brain enough to be your shower thought. Like when you're just in the shower and you're like, oh, I had an idea for this.
Yeah.
You know, and if that thing isn't the work that you do, then you're not going to have ideas about that on vacation, or it's going to be outsized. Like you're going to have 80% of your ideas about that and 20% of your ideas about like other stuff that you have going on. You know what I mean?
I like the forced, because I like the kind of forced time off. Yeah, because I've personally been through like unlimited vacation, and then it's like, no, it's not. I'm just gonna go take 3 months off. Well, can't do that. You know, there's like caps on it. You feel weird when you request it.
It's also a big,
like when I vacation hard. Like I try to like turn it off as much as possible, everything. But I do bring hats and shoot content just because I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, an unlimited vacation is also, I think, and I don't know the legals on this, but like we don't have it at my company, but I think that also means like so in most companies, if they let you go and you have PTO banked, they have to pay out the PTO. But I think on unlimited vacation, they don't have to.
That's right.
So that's like, oh, it's kind of a little hack for them to basically not be able to pay out, or be able to not pay out a severance. And also people don't take it. I think forced vacation is interesting. I think there's a couple things that I'm not trying to like, I'm not like this guy who has like strong feelings on remote work or in-person work, but I do think that if most companies tried to have like hubs and be like, oh, okay, like we have this like Utah hub, and we have this much space in a WeWork. It's pretty cheap. And like, you can go into work a couple days a week, and like maybe even a few times a month, there's like some required you go in type of thing, you know, but for the most part, we're remote. And then, like maybe some forced vacation, or like a whole team is either designed to be able to say like, okay, you know, like these people are on vacation, like assigned times where it's like,
You force your employees to go on vacation together,
like,
like arranged vacations.
Not even together, but more so like here's the times of year that this team is slow, and we can cover all the work with 3/4 capacity.
That's
so
smart.
Here's identifying 4 times a year. Like in e-commerce, if you work at a marketing agency and you're in e-commerce, like you should not be requesting vacation over Thanksgiving. In fact, you should be telling your family, I am unavailable for this holiday, right? So like, but like, I don't know, January, you could probably request vacation, no big deal. So I think if there was like, here's a few times of year that are slow and we can cover with like 3/4 capacity or 60% capacity, everybody go sign up for those times. And of your 4 weeks of vacation, which I think you should be 6 weeks a year, 4 weeks a year, some level of rollover. Of your 4 weeks of vacation, you have to use 1 or 2 weeks like that. So you're going to at least force them to take 1 or 2 weeks in a manner that is easy to plan for. And yeah, like, or you get people like me who like, I never take any of the 6 weeks.
I don't either, but I think I do really well. Like it's good for me to take time off, but it's so hard. Like I think that with the unlimited, you just like put it off, and then it's like gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that ending. I don't know if you guys want to like, do something else really quick, if you have like a burning topic you want to do, but I like that as an ending, like, health, vacation policies, things like that. Cool. Well, yeah, if you're watching this, subscribe or comment or like if you're on YouTube, if you're on an audio platform, please subscribe to the show, leave a review. If you got this deep into the episode, that means on any audio platform, you can leave a review because usually they have a requirement that you have to listen to an episode. That's super helpful. I learned it's not helpful for our ranking, but it is helpful for our ego, and that is important. You can follow us on our socials. I'll put them in the descriptions, and we'll see you guys next time.